Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon based on where you're located in the region. And thanks so much for joining today's webcast around Sage AP Automation hosted by Quadient. My name is Ali Ortiz, and I'm a Senior Partner Engagement Manager here at Sage. Just a few logistical items before we get started. The presentation will be around 35 minutes, so we will have time for questions at the end. So if you could please enter those in the Q&A panel on your screen, and we will make sure to go through those. The webcast will also be recorded, so we can distribute a recording and a PDF of the slides next week. With that said, I will go ahead and pass it over to Rachel Stackpool from Quadient to kick off the presentation.
Hi, everyone. As Ellie said, my name is Rachel, and welcome to today's webcast. So in Eliminate the Pain of Accounts Payables, we're going to explore some of the most common pain points in AP, and that'll be the webinar bit. And then we're going to show you a quick demo of Sage AP Automation and explore how our great features act as a remedy to those aches and pains. And that'll be the demo bit. So just a quick intro about me. I'm an account executive here with Sage AP Automation, or Quadient AP Automation. And I'll be taking you under the hood of our automation software later in the session, showing you how we can optimize your AP workflows. So just very quickly, we're going to do a poll. I just want to take this opportunity to ask a quick question. How many invoices are you processing every month? I think Ali's just shared that with you.
All right. Perfect. So if everyone could take about 30 seconds to answer this, that would be great. Awesome. I'll leave it open for a few more seconds. And I'll close it out in 3, 2, 1. Thank you to everybody that participated. And it looks like it's kind of a close tie between 0 and 75, 76 to 150, and 151 to 300. All right.
Okay, perfect. Thanks everyone for doing that. This gives us a good idea of, size of business we're talking to today, but it looks like there's quite a range in there. So let's get right into it. So we're here to talk about the accounts payable pain points holding your team back, the things that make AP a real P in the A. So what are they? Our first main pain point is a big one, manual data entry. According to Level Research, 71% of companies point to manual data entry and related process inefficiencies as their top pain point. What that tells us is that manual data entry sucks, and most people know it. But why is it such a pain point? Well, a lot of finance professionals are making important business decisions based on inaccurate financials. And according to Blackline Research, an incredible 41% of finance pros blame manual data entry for those dodgy numbers. Sage research has shown that accountants spend up to 57% of their day entering data, leaving little room for anything else. And here's one final stat to hit you with. Despite all of this, 86% of SMEs still enter their invoice data by hand. So manual data entry is a major problem, and yet little is being done about it. Well, let's jump into the demo now and show you just how Sage AP Automation can help to address each of these pain points and give you hours back in your day. So this is the Sage AP Automation platform. Before we do a deep dive into how the software works, let's start with a quick orientation of what we're seeing on the screen here. On the left, we have our 4 modules with expenses, purchase orders, invoices, and payments. Invoices are really the bread and butter of the system, and the other 3 modules are added in to support the requirements of your workflow. As you can see at the top, the system is organized so that invoices flow from, one second, sorry. Fun little glitch. We'll just jump straight back in here. Okay, as I was saying, you can see at the top the system is organized so that invoices will flow from left to right, giving you visibility for each step in the process. In the middle here, you will have your list of invoices, also known as your AP inbox or your work queue. And this is going to be your list of actionable items. On the left here, you'll have all of your filters and your organizational tree. This is where we will mirror your organization structure and segment according to entity, departments, divisions, or locations. You can be as creative as you want with how we structure this out. So in this example, we have Green Bean Country Club as the parent company, Green Bean Co. as the legal entity, and the departments within that entity are listed below. It's key to note that within Sage APA, you can have as many users as you'd like at no additional cost. We want to ensure that everyone in here has the tools they need to do their job, and you have an accurate audit trail. So gone are the days of managing multiple user licenses and logins. So access within Sage APA is customizable. Users will only see what you want them to see. That way, the users won't be overwhelmed with information that isn't relevant to them. And this access can be separated at 3 different levels: at the modular level, at the tabular level, or at the org unit level. So the first thing we're going to cover is how we're getting these invoices into Sage APA. There are 3 main ways to do this. And these days, most companies receive 70 to 90% of their invoices electronically. The most common way of getting invoices into Sage APA is by email forwarding. So we will either set up auto forwarding rules for your already existing AP inbox, or we can provide you with an AP email address and have the invoices feed directly into this in progress tab. The second way of getting invoices into Quadient is by using our mobile app to take a photo of the invoice. And again, that invoice will automatically appear here. If you are receiving paper copies of invoices, you'll be able to get them into Sage API simply by scanning the documents. Typically, paper invoices are scanned one at a time to create PDF formats. And as most of you are probably aware, this exercise can get pretty cumbersome. So we've built our Create tab so these steps can be eliminated. From here, we'll click the Upload button, and we can drop an entire batch of scanned invoices into the system. Once uploaded, you'll see something like this. For the sake of the exercise, let's assume they're all individual invoices that came through one email or a document upload. Quadient allows you to select the split button to separate each individual invoice, like this. And there you go. So now they are all recognized as individual invoices. If you do have a multi-pager, it's very easy to just drag and drop to reorganize. Once you've finished sorting, we're just going to click the Save button, then Create Invoices on the top right here. They'll flow straight through to the In Progress tab, just the same as if they'd been emailed in. Next, let's tackle the next step in the process, which is categorizing and tagging the invoices. So most AP professionals spend upwards of 50% of their time getting the invoices into the system, tagged, and then submitted for approval. With Sage APA, we're taking care of the lion's share of that work for you. So as you see here, Quadient AP will always provide an image of the original physical copy, so there's no more need for paper filing. Our software will read and automatically enter the invoice data for you, such as the header, the vendor information, the invoice date, the totals at the bottom here. That turns the tedious data entry part of AP just into a couple of clicks. Here in the account, we'll just have to select the GL associated with the invoice, and then it's ready to be submitted for approval. The list of GLs will automatically be pulled from your accounting system. Now, many invoices have fairly repetitive coding, and Sage APA is smart enough to remember how an invoice was coded previously. For recurring invoices, all AP teams will have to do is click the Smart Code button at the top right here. And Sage APA will remember previous invoice coding based on that vendor and automatically populate all the line item details for you. For those folks that do have invoices containing multiple line items on them, we have another feature called line item capture that will code all those descriptions and totals we see on the invoice at the line item level. You may also notice here that we have a purchase order appearing. So if an invoice has a corresponding purchase order, our software will automatically match that purchase order to the invoice, giving you a visualization and making that coding even easier. So with the combination of smart code, line item capture, and PO adoption, Sage APA eliminates 83 to 90% of your manual coding.
Hey, Rachel. If you can you speak a bit louder? Some people are having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about that, guys. I'll try and bump up the volume for you.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's explore our next pain point, the approval process. If you've spent days knocking on doors and chasing signatures, you're not alone. We surveyed over 200 AP professionals and found that they spend, on average, 20% of their time managing approvals. Add that to the time spent on manual data entry, and we're up to 77% of their time. So we're running out of the day already. Complex approval processes gum up the works. It can take up to 45 days to process an invoice, pushing the average cost per invoice past $15. Delays in the approval process have knock-on effects too. Late payment fees, missed early payment discounts, and damaged vendor relationships are all potential consequences of approval roadblocks. So now I'll walk you through how Sage AP automation helps to speed up the approval process. So if we imagine I'm a project manager, when I come into this screen, I will have all of the invoices assigned to me that are awaiting approval. Here, I can just select all and batch, approve, or reject, or we can drill down onto an individual basis. So if we jump into the invoice, we can see all of the coded details next to the image of the invoice. I can give it a once over, and then I can either thumbs up, approve it, or reject. If I click reject and I haven't left a comment here, however, it will give me this red notification that I can't move forward. This means I have to leave a comment, which in the end is going to help save on that email back and forth to determine what was wrong with the invoice. Sage APA takes care of the approval tracking by notifying approvers when they have invoices waiting for them. And we also have a mobile app for users to approve or reject those invoices on the go. This is going to spare your AP team from receiving vendor calls inquiring about late or unpaid invoices. And now let's jump into the back end of the system to see how we can create these customized approval channels. So users are able to create distinct approval channels for every single module in Sage APA. But for today, we'll be creating one on the invoice level. One second, there we go. So you guys can create these approval channels to be as complex as you like, and you can have unlimited channels. Let's jump into one and we'll edit it now. So this one here, let's edit it. I'm going to call it Rachel's channel. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this one based on just org unit and on a dollar amount. So let's make this anything over $50,000. Go. We'll give it a description. And make sure it's tied to the correct legal entity. Now, let's save this information and edit that. So as we can see, anything over $50,000, let's change the org unit. We want it to be anything from sales over $50,000 has to go to these approvers. Now, let's put our AP clerk in at Sally Shaw, and it's quite a lot of money, so let's put the CEO and the CFO. So in this example, Sally will receive the invoice first for approval before it goes to Jill, the CEO, and then Jack, the CFO. Now, what if we don't care if Jill or Jack see it? We just need to make sure that one of them have eyes on that invoice. If I put them together like this, they are now grouped. So either Jack or Jill can put that secondary level of approval on that invoice before it is released. Let's save it, and now we're all good to go. That does it there for those approvals and user notifications there. So let's jump back into the presentation. So let's consider our final AP pain point, a lack of data visibility and reliability. As it stands, finance executives are not confident in the accuracy of their data, of their cash flow data. According to Blackline, 49% have multiple issues with data inaccuracy, while an incredible 98% think they could have more confidence in their data visibility. And Experian research has shown how businesses believe 32% of their data to be inaccurate, while 66% of finance employees think that their CEOs have made business decisions based on incomplete or inaccurate data. Yikes. Finally, according to research from the University of Hawaii, an incredible 88% of spreadsheets contain inaccuracies. So it's no wonder that finance professionals aren't exactly happy with their state of their financial information. You might have noticed that we're back to where we started. Manual data entry is time-consuming, inaccurate, and error-prone, leaving finance leaders to rely on bad financial information. So it's the opposite of a virtuous circle. Let's jump into the demonstration now again to address these pain points and show you how we can resolve them. So if we jump into this archive tab here, this is now going to act as your brand new electronic filing cabinet, housing all the invoices that have run through Sage APA. On the left, we have all these filters, which will act as your electronic folders, and you can create those folders based on any criteria. For example, vendor, amounts, dates, periods, etc. We also have a global search button where you can type in any keyword or value related to an invoice and quickly locate it. So this archivability is a game changer for audits and reviews. So let's jump into an example. We'll jump into this one here. So all of the invoices that are filtered by vendor, so ABC Furniture, but let's break it down a little bit more. I want to see all of the invoices from ABC Furniture that have been fully paid. Let's search that there. Perfect. Now these are the invoices that I have received, and so let's create a report based on that. So I can batch them like this, hit report, selected, and PDF. Here we'll get an example of the kind of details we'll get on this report. So we'll generate it now. And download it. Now let's open that up. So the first page here is going to show me a summary of everything that was selected along with the totals at the bottom. Because these reports can get quite long, Sage APA has built in hyperlinks, so users don't have to scroll through the report. So if you click on the invoice you want to see, you'll be directed to an image of the invoice with the header information, the coding, the approval histories, and any comments that were left are also displayed here. Sage APA will allow you to add your auditors as read-only users, so they can download all of this information on their own without changing any of the information in the system. So let's look at another point, because we do have some more time here. We have a bit of a pain point around the PO matching process, which could cause a lot of delay and extra work, especially if all of the documentation is difficult to find. So we typically hear that the matching takes anywhere between 10 to 20% of the process for those that utilize purchase orders in their workflow. And here are the reasons why. First, the data is often located or filed in 2 or 3 different places. So you'll need to first pull up the PO search to see if it is received. And then you'll compare those both with the invoices you're currently processing before filing all 3 documents away together for future audit purposes. So I just touched on that filing aspect there, but in a typical AP process, you will often see companies file these documents away in a separate system or filing cabinet instead of having them available in your AP system of record, which can sometimes result in them being lost or misplaced, which many of you may have experienced in the past. Finally, you will often need to manually relay the line items from the purchase order to the invoice when that data is already approved and available. So the easiest way for me to show you how we solve these problems is by jumping back into the live demo. So let's go there now. So earlier, we touched on how if a purchase order is identified, you'll see both images side by side in the system. However, what I didn't properly show you is how the coding will be taken care of. So let's show you that now. Typically, we'd have to jump into a PO adoption similar to this and manually adopt those lines onto the invoice based on what you have received. But with Sage APA, we will be able to automatically adopt the line items by pulling in from your Sage what has been marked as received. So now, when this invoice populates in the In Progress tab, the line items are already going to be coded for you, saving all of those manual clicks. And now finally, how are we going to tackle keeping all your purchase orders and invoices saved together to make auditing easier? Let's jump back into the Archive tab where I had this report based on ABC Furniture. If I go back to that same report and back into the image I showed you earlier, if I scroll down, not only do you have that information I mentioned, the purchase order is also saved here for you as a backup page. meaning for all those audits in the future, everything will be in one spot, making it very, very easy. Now, I don't pretend to be a mind reader, but I can see what a lot of you are probably thinking right now. That's all well and good, but adopting a new technology is a major disruption. So I think we've got time to address one bonus pain point here. Fears over ease of integration and data sync are a major roadblock in tech adoption. We've heard it dozens of times regarding AP automation. How long until we're up and running? What's it going to look like for my IT team? Am I going to lose a load of data? They're all reasonable concerns, but let's take a minute to see how Sage AP Automation solves this problem. Sage AP Automation uses a simple sync tool to offer best-in-class integration. All of your legal entities log into the same sync tool via the server where your entities are hosted. You log in using your Sage credentials, and with a single click, perform either a full or partial sync with your Sage accounting system. You can schedule sync at multiple periods during the day to catch any updates and make sure no data is lost. And our customers have found that complete integration, workflow training, and sync takes an average of just 6 hours. In a little over half a day, you'll be up and running, so disruption to your workflows is super minimal. Again, let's jump in and I'll show you super quickly what this looks like. Now, you might have noticed we skipped over this tab here, the export tab. What you'll be able to do, your invoices have gone through this complete workflow. You can either batch or again individually, hit actions, export selected, and select data. With a click of a button, all of that information is going to be pushed back into your Sage system. And it's as simple as that. So finally, let's take a look at how one of your peers has addressed this AP pain points with Sage AP Automation. Vancouver-based renewable energy company Elemental Energy faced a host of AP pain points. Director of Corporate Finance and Operations, Tanya, told us how it was getting out of control and that they shouldn't have to spend so much time on AP. Since adopting Sage AP Automation, Tanya and her team have been able to abandon their manual AP processes and go practically paperless. According to Tanya, her and her team are saving a couple of days each month and freeing up time for her, her bookkeeper, and her accountant to focus on higher value work. They've streamlined their approval processes too, eliminating email back and forth, with automated approval routing proving to be a big time saver. Tanya and her team are enjoying improved data visibility, with Tanya telling us how I can go in and see everything in one place. And finally, the team experienced seamless integration with their Sage 50 ERP solution. The software automatically consolidates invoices from Elemental Energy's 10 separate entities, eliminating the risk of lost information. So now, just another little poll for you, Ali, if you want to jump in.
Definitely. I'll go ahead and launch it now. Would you be interested in a personalized demo of Sage AP Automation for your organization? Yes, in the next month. Yes, in the next 1 to 3 months. Maybe, but need more information first, or not at this time. So if you could please take a few seconds to answer this, this would be extremely helpful to the Quadient team. All right, and I am going to go ahead and close it out. Thank you to everybody that participated.
Okay, perfect. So for everyone who answered there, we'd love the chance to follow up with each and every one of you on pricing, implementation, and any questions you may have specific to your company's workflow. And now we have some time for some Q&A. So Ali, I believe you had questions there and I can jump in and answer them.
All right, perfect. Yes, there's quite a few questions. So the first one is, do you have to have a PO associated with an invoice, or can you just start with an invoice and no PO?
Yeah, we can start with just invoices and no purchase orders. Some companies don't even use purchase orders in their workflow. So either way works for us.
All righty. The next question is, when invoices are approved, can they be paid via paper checks or only ACH payments?
Yes, so we have quite a few different options in terms of payments. We have payment partners, which will help with checks, ACH, EFT, wires, Forex. We also have the ability to connect your existing bank accounts to our platform, creating payment files which will automatically release those payments. So if you do have any questions around those payment options, we can definitely have a chat and figure out what would be the best fit for your company.
All right, perfect. Let me pull up the next question. How long will the information be stored in this program?
So we will store the information for a minimum of 7 years, but we aren't deleting anything. If you guys want to set up a scheduled delete, then that can happen. But I believe the minimum is 7 years as per certain laws around, this kind of information.
All right, thank you. Next question, can you split an invoice between multiple GL accounts? Is that by adding line items?
Yes, you can. We can do multiple line items and split them between different GLs. Assuming it's all within the same entity, we can do that. We have some integration with intercompanies, but that will be dependent on which version of Sage you are using.
Okay. And then just in terms of that, which versions of Sage are supported?
Yeah, so we have Sage 50, Canada and US, 100, 300. We also have Sage in tax. We also do have another tool which essentially will allow us to connect with any accounting system. So really, the sky's the limit there. If you are using Sage, we can connect with you.
Fabulous. What is the turnaround for payments once approved? A competitor that we use holds funds for a period of time. The larger amount, the longer it takes them to release the funds.
Yeah, for sure. So again, that depends on the payment method that you decide to go with. If you decide to use our bring your own bank feature, that's completely dependent on the terms you have with the bank. But if you typically find that those payments are released the same day, that will continue to happen. As for our payment partners, it again will depend on if you're based in the States or Canada. Typically, we'll see a 3-day turnaround for electronic payments.
Awesome. Thank you. The next question, does the system recognize subcontracts and POs on invoices?
Subcontracts and purchase orders on invoices. If we can get a bit of clarification on what that means, I'll speak to what I think it means, but that person might need to come to me afterwards, be a bit more specific. We can provide, we do have the ability to provide backup documents onto any invoices. So for example, if you have contracts that need to be backed up onto the invoices for that approval process, we can help you out with that. If you mean...
She said subcontract is a work order.
Oh, a work order. As long as if it's a field that you are currently pulling in from your accounting system in some way, we can recognize that.
All right, perfect. There's tons of questions coming in.
Good.
Let's see. In terms of approvers, would they have access to Quadient AP but not Sage? Are they separate?
Yeah, so they can have access to this Quadient AP platform and just the approvals tab here, but they won't need access to your Sage. This is a separate, it'll exist next to your Sage.
Okay. This person is asking for an example, or giving an example, no PO, but has 10 line items. Will it automatically have the line items when the invoice is uploaded, or do you manually have to add in the line items?
Yeah, so using that line item capture feature that I mentioned earlier. So essentially when you come in to code that invoice, I'll go to this, make this confusing. You'll have all 10 line items already read and coded for you. And that'll all just be coming in to read those GLs. Oh, sorry, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, sorry,
power outage.
You went out for a second, but you're back. It was just a split second.
Okay, perfect. I think my computer is coming back as well. But let me just continue answering that one. Yes, you will. Perfect, sorry about that. You'll automatically have them all coded. You'll just need to tie them to the GL. But again, if those multiple line items are reoccurring, then the system will start to learn that, and then it will automatically be there for you, just needing you to give it a once over before submitting it through for approval.
Alrighty. And does the platform work with outside PO systems? I believe you said yes.
So if the third-party purchase order system is integrated with your Sage, then yes. As long as that information is within Sage, as that's where we're pulling the data from, we can read that. Unfortunately, if it's not integrated, we won't be able to do it that way. However, we have worked with clients who have switched to using our purchase order module to create them there to fix that. So completely dependent on how your business runs there. And that might be a one-on-one call to kind of figure out if it's something that we can't figure out with you.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Is the data hosted locally on a server or in the cloud?
Yeah, so it's hosted on the AWS server. So it's all cloud-based.
Okay, perfect. Is QuickBooks a software that can be linked?
Yeah, so we do also have an integration with QuickBooks online and desktop.
Fabulous. Can we put project codes on the invoices?
Okay, yes and no. So we do, as long as it's a field, if it's a project code field on the invoice, we can definitely do that. If you are using a project job costing module, we won't be able to integrate with that. But that being said, if that counts for just 10% of your invoices and you are doing 1,000, we can still automate the other 900. So it's all about, that. But if it is just a field that you are coding, then yes, we can help you out with that.
Awesome. Next question. Does it pull line items and codes from POs like Sage does when entering invoices?
Sorry, can you repeat that for me, Ali?
Does it pull line items and codes from POs like Sage does when entering invoices?
Okay, yes. So that'll be the auto PO line adoption, which we are able to do as well. So if the purchase order has multiple line items and it's been received against within Sage, then the invoice will automatically coded. Again, let's use this example with multiple line items already there for you.
All right. We use POs and then match our invoices with packing slips. How would that work?
So as long as you are marking it as received within Sage, then that's how we'll be able to do that coding of the purchase order and have that three-way match done for you in the system.
Awesome. And this is a repeat question. How long are invoices and POs retained? I believe you said 7 years?
Yeah, minimum of 7 years for those ones.
And then how is retention of records managed?
Yeah, so in that archive tab that I showed you before, sorry, I think with the power outage, my system has actually decided not to connect anymore, so I'll just speak to it. In that archive tab that I showed you before, it will all be there, and it can be broken down based on the, the org units and the entities, based on those custom filters that I showed, by vendor, and that'll all be stored within there for you.
Great. If you upload an American Express invoice, will it break out by line item?
So I assume you mean as an invoice, like an Amex statement, a credit card statement, sorry. If that's what we are speaking to, I'll just speak to that. We do have a credit card reconciliation feature, so we can break that down on a line item level for sure. If I didn't answer that properly, you can reach out to me afterwards and we can dive into that a bit further.
Awesome. Are payments made through APA or through Sage?
So they will be made. So once we've released the payments in our payments module, again, we didn't really have time to go through the payments module today, so we can definitely have some one-on-one time later about that. We can release them from the Sage APA platform without you having to go back into Sage and do that.
Awesome, thank you. Is there a format or file name of the invoice to be uploaded?
Yeah, so when we're having invoices sent in, as PDFs is the way that our system will recognize them and bring them in.
Fabulous. This person said, I have multiple departments creating purchase orders for their departments and only need access to the purchase order module. Would each department see their own info, or would they see all pending purchase orders from all departments? Would they see all other modules like invoices and payments?
Yeah, great question. So the permission and user licenses, they are completely dynamic. So we can break it down modular. So purchase orders only, and then tabular. So if they're only in approving purchase orders, or if they're only in making them, they can be broken down to that sort of restriction. And then also by org unit.
Fabulous. How many company profiles can be linked?
By company profiles, sorry, what do you mean by company profiles? I guess the short answer that I think that you're looking for is if you mean like different entities or different organizations under one umbrella, they can all be brought in, and then we can build up that organizational structure in the tree on the left. Hopefully that answers the question for you.
Okay. If not, obviously you'll get a list of all these questions and who asked. So for follow-up,
I can reach out for sure. Yeah.
Fabulous. In reference to reports, are you able to export out to Excel?
Yep, we can definitely do that. So we can either, if I open this here, or damn it, my screen's not shared because of the issue with power outage. So while we have the PDF download for the reports, we also have a CSV, and that will open as Excel format.
Perfect. I think you might have answered this, but does this work with Sage that is on a server or only the cloud-based version?
Yep, we can do server and cloud-based.
Awesome. Do you need to pay for access to AWS to use AP automation? Our Sage accounting software is a cloud with Summit hosting, is on the cloud with Summit hosting.
No, it's hosted on our AWS server, so we're hosting it.
Okay, perfect. How does the system handle inventory invoices and related debit memos and credit memos?
Okay, so again, so with the inventory, it will depend on which version of Sage you are on, as that module can be a little bit finicky. But if you are marking it as the inventory within your accounting system, we do have availability to have some visualization over that in the system. There will be an image of a little truck on the line of the image in progress, and that just shows that there's inventory being marked against that invoice. Again, I'm very sorry my screen stopped working because I'd love to be able to show you that, and I just don't know how to get it back.
It's okay. Hopefully you can show them maybe on a one-on-one call.
Yeah.
When uploading the invoice, how will it automatically pick up the vendor in the system?
So as we said, with the system gets smarter and smarter the more you code into it. So the first time you put it through, you'll have to code that vendor information. And then the second time, the invoice is going to recognize the header to be able to pre-populate that vendor information for you. And the more you code, the more it's going to learn and the quicker it's going to get.
All right, perfect. Will the invoice entered automatically sync with Sage 50?
So when you press that export button, once it's all been approved, it's gone through that workflow. Once it's export, then it will be pushed into Sage. However, we can set up automatic syncs. So once it's gone through the workflow, it's been approved and it's sitting in that export tab. If we have set up automatic syncs for you, you won't have to go through and manually do that. It'll just happen automatically.
Okay, great. Does this work with a PC or Mac?
Either. You can use it on anything.
Awesome. What happens if a vendor is not in our system?
So if a vendor is not in your system, well, in that case, the vendor onboarding would have to be done by your team still within your accounting system, which I think would probably be, it's exactly the same way you're currently onboarding your vendors into your accounting system. You would have to do that. And that way, once the invoice comes in, we can then tie the vendor to that one in your accounting system. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And is it possible to put multiple invoices on one purchase order?
Yep, for sure. So we do also have blanket purchase order capabilities within the platform, and we can tie multiple invoices to a purchase order for sure.
Fabulous. Are we going to pay in Sage AP automation or in Sage 50?
Yeah, so the billing is quite interesting because you will get it from Sage, but it will be tied to us. So I believe it'll be separate from the payment that you would currently be doing with your subscription with Sage, but it will still be with Sage, if that made sense. I think it did.
Yeah, it did.
Perfect.
Okay. And then there were quite a few questions around like your guys' pricing model. Is there anything that you can share on that? And if obviously if it depends on, each organization, you can follow up individually, but is there any general pricing that you can share with the audience?
Yeah, so I'll break down how we manage our pricing and then maybe let people get an understanding. And we will have to do sort of individual calls because it is completely dynamic based on your company's needs. So each module, the purchase orders, expenses, invoices, payments, they are separate. We then have based on entities, how many entities you want to onboard is done in buckets. We have different levels of support and our invoicing is tiered. So, 100, 150, 200 invoices. How many invoices are you processing on a monthly basis? All of those components will then be used to build out that pricing for you.
All right. Rachel, you are a trooper. I don't think I've ever seen over 40 questions come in and be answered on a webcast. So that was incredible. Thank you, everybody, for participating. But I think that is all the questions that we have.
Okay, amazing. Perfect. No, all good. I appreciate everyone's patience with my technical issues this morning. Something had to go wrong.
No, everything was great. And then, okay, we have one more question. If you have multi-page purchase orders, is that one credit or by page?
One credit, that will be recognized as a single document. Is that what you're asking, I think? It won't be, it's not by page, it's by document.
That's what she's asking.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so by document, that'll be one document.
All right. Okay, one more question. Referring to a credit card statement, we have numerous card holders and different GLs. I enter over 300 lines per statement. Is that possible?
Yes, we can definitely help you out with that. That will need a demo on the expense module and also on the credit card reconciliation capability, which I'd be more than happy to run through for you. But we can definitely tackle that for you.
Fabulous. And then one more came in saying, can you have multiple POs on one invoice?
Yep, we can do that as well. We can do multiple purchase orders for an invoice.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you so much for answering all of these questions so diligently.
No, sure.
To everybody, and also thank you for walking us through the demonstration and the presentation. And to everybody else who joined, thanks, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Easy. Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.